Right then, so we were so excited after the last round. I refused to go anywhere, so I'm casting this round here with Benjamin as well. And you know what? It's actually, I've got a little story to tell you viewers behind the lens there. So as we was walking to the venue bright and early, as we have to do, Benji was telling me about a sort of a new deck, a new archetype, as it were, that utilizes a card which I would bet half of you don't even know what it does. Over to you. What is this mad deck?
So, there was a little bit of a rumor going around, I'll say, about a new deck coming out, and, in the mists come out. It's potentially a new control deck from, one and only Sander Wojcik. And we've got an absolute treat for you coming up on the stream for our round 4. We've got Sander Wojcik versus Arne van Brankel.
Yeah, one of Zapdos TCG's good friends, but both very nice people. But I'm going to ask you a question here, Abby, and I'm going to say, is Sander the scariest person to sit across the table from if you don't know what he's playing?
It's threatening.
Yeah, you ain't got a clue.
It's threatening. Because the thing is with playing somebody like Sander who really puts his finger on the pulse of the format and says, how can I essentially abuse the format? Let's look at the top 3 decks, let's look at what people play, and let's play something completely off the wall that completely negates my opponent on playing. But it's a different way. It's a different way of playing. It's a different game for somebody like Sander, right? Yeah,
it's interesting because we actually mentioned just before we went to the break actually about how if you can predict the meta well and tune your deck towards that, it can lend you to great success. And I think you have to say Sander's the master of that, right? Because almost every event he's reinventing the control archetype. It says Gardevoir there, but I mean, you could put. I mean, there's 3 Dream Ball in this list, so you can call it Dream Ball Box if you wanted. Like, there's so much stuff going on.
You can put whatever you want.
Yeah, you just put Sander Box, question mark, question mark. We'll work it out together. But honestly, like from EUIC last year, it was the Umbreon, Cheryl, Sun and Moon badge loop. And then it went to, there was a stage 1 box before at Liverpool before that, And then, Mewtwo v Union at NAIC. Then Gardevoir Mewtwo v Union. And
like I said, it's the finger on the pulse. And if anybody in the community knows, if you look at a Sander list after a tournament, you're thinking, how?
It's funny because anyone that knows me and knows my content, I like to play some off-the-wall crazy stuff, right? No, I admit that. But I remember there was one Sander list, I can't remember what event it was from, but it was the Cat-A-Day stall deck. And I remember this is the only time this has ever happened. Sander Box, there it is! Yes, then production team, let's go. So I looked at this Cat-A-Day list, Meowth, and I actually thought, I have no clue what's going on here. Speaking of not knowing what's going on here, Dream Ball, that has to work if you take it from the prize cards, right, I believe?
Yeah, correct.
So having one in the prize cards there is very helpful. In case you don't know what Dream Ball does back at home, I don't blame you. Dream Ball, when you take it as a face-down prize card, you can then get any Pokemon from your deck and put it straight into play. Stage 1, Stage 2, bypassing evolutionals. It's like a long-winded summoning star.
and let me tell you the Pokemon he's trying to utilize here. We're talking Dusknoir. We're talking Espeon VMAX. And we're talking the Dusknoir that stops the special energy.
It basically has Temple of Sinnoh as its ability, Spectral Breach, because hopefully that's right there. Spectral Breach, making all special energy only count as colorless. So you have to imagine Sander, if he's playing a special energy deck, just goes Dream Ball, puts the Dusknoir down and says, right, your powerfuls are just colorless. Your captures won't work either. Anything like this, DTE only counts for 1. But there is one big thing that we haven't mentioned about Sander's deck yet. Talk to us about this guy, Benji, the Regigigas V-Star.
Now, if you know me, I love Regigigas. Now, Regigigas is usually renowned in the TCG for having such a massive HP, and that's nothing changed from this one here. It's a 300 HP V-Star, which can which is interesting. How is Sander going to utilize this one? I don't know, looking at this list, but I'm sure it may pop up in this one if it's relevant to the matchup. But let's give it a surprise for the viewers for Sander's deck. Now let's talk about Arne's deck. So we've got a Lost Box here, pretty reminiscent of Azul GG's list.
Yes.
So we've got the 3V Pokemon, we've got Raikou, we've got Dragonite, and we've got Drapion. Trying to utilize the Sky Steel Stone. Can't imagine it's going to be that relevant in this matchup unless that Regigigas V-Star can be knocked out by one of them.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about Sander playing these VMAX Pokemon, such as the Espeon, the only way to get it into play is Dream Ball. What that means is you're never going to have to put down Espeon V, which means you're never actually vulnerable to, or you can't lead Espeon V, I should say. So you're not actually vulnerable to the Sky Seal Stone unless Sander wants to put Espeon VMAX down, which I'm not 100% sure you would in this matchup. I mean, maybe to defend yourself against Sableye.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then another interesting thing about Sander's deck, we have seen it before, though, utilising the Gourmandise plus Gardevoir sort of line. Gardevoir, the Curlier, having that refinement ability, if anyone's playing back in the day, trade from Zoroark, or even make do from Tincino, I believe. And then Gourmandise as well. That's been a staple for Sander's decks, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's totally been, it's so consistent, Gourmandise.
Yeah.
You know, it's... Most of the time, Sander's decks are not going to be attacking, as we know. It's a control list. They like to play the game a lot differently to other people. You know, they don't want to be attacking. So why not utilize this Snorlax? The Gourmandise ability, drawing your hand up to 7, of course, your turn ends. But, you know, you're not really caring if you're not attacking, right?
No, exactly, yeah. But I think looking at this list, I reckon, I mean, you have to be taking some prizes at some point, otherwise you can never use Dream Ball. And we do see the Radiant Charizard. I imagine there is going to be some offensive pressure. We see the Drapions, you know. So to activate Dream Ball, you do have to actually take Dream Ball as a face-down prize. So this could be the tournament where Sander's taking loads of prize cards.
Yeah, it could be. So we see the Radiant Charizard in his list, and there's only one reason really for that. From my point of view, I might be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But you know, there's only one reason really, and that's to utilize the Combustion Blast. Now, I'm thinking. Now, I may be wrong.
Okay.
This is my guess. He's going to be going down to one prize. He's going to be letting his opponent go down to one prize, and then there's going to be some sort of lock in play here, maybe.
Yeah.
With the Combustion Blast, but and of course the Regigigas V-Star. Let's talk about that ability.
Yeah, let's have a look. So Regigigas V-Star, that was a new card from Crown Zenith. I don't blame you for not knowing what it does. So it's 300 HP straight away. So let's get that off the bat. 300 HP is quite big. It has got an attack Giga Impact, 3 energy, 230. I probably won't be seeing that, I imagine, but it's V-Star Power, or Star Ability, I should say, Star Guardian. During your turn, if your opponent has exactly one prize card remaining, you can choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and just discard it, and all cards attached. So I imagine, like you said, we're going to be seeing some sort of let your opponent get down to one prize, maybe try and manipulate the board and then KO their only attacker, and then see where we go from there.
Yeah, interesting, because all of the abilities, they seem to be orientated around how many prizes your opponent's taken. So it'll be really interesting to see how Sander navigates this. He's opting here for the Curlier draw support. So we know Curlier has an ability, if you discard 1, draw 2.
Yep.
It's a same old story for some people, you know, where if you're regular players, you'll know about Chinchino and Zoroark GX and Lipard. A lot of Pokemon with that ability, but opting for that draw engine. Why the Curlier? Well, let's talk about that. We saw in his prize cards the Gardevoir for that added consistency, and also Curlier's 90 HP. Now, what can you use to get out those 90 HP Pokemon? Let's think about Level Ball. Level
Ball, yeah. Such a great card if you can utilize it. Then you get a free search for any Pokemon under 90 HP. Perfect for getting Rolts down and Curlier. But I have to imagine, if any deck can have a good go against Control, placing 12 damage counters with Sableye, that seems like a good start, right?
Yeah, 100%. And that Espeon VMAX, as you said, it might come into play, it might not. Well, it's going to be really interesting to see how Sander navigates.
Like, one interesting wrinkle, though, because, I mean, I don't blame Arn for this, but he actually lost zoned his Drapion, and Drapion would have been able to one-shot Espeon VMAX with, if you would use Dynamic Tail, but you have to attach energy to it, but it would have been able to, but I guess on not knowing that an Espeon VMAX might be flying down at some point, and I don't blame him for that either.
And we saw that as a weakness of the previous Sander deck as well, with the Mewtwo V Union, where it played no crushing arrows, so it couldn't stop your opponent just manually attaching to the Drapion, right?
Yes.
But let's give the benefit of the doubt. You're playing against Sander, you don't know what's going to be popping out.
And I think that's actually, realistically speaking, one massive advantage to a Sander deck is that, sure, if you know exactly what he's playing, you will have lines and outs, but you're not going to know what he's playing, so you are going to make some mistakes every now and then. And if you make too many mistakes against any control archetype, it's done for. Like, you might lose the game as early as turn 4, but you don't know.
No, of course, it's all a part of the strategy. Right?
Yeah,
it's all a part of the strategy, as we've mentioned. So we see a pretty strong setup from Arne, as strong as it can be. I mean, I think the issue is for him is that he doesn't know what he's up against, right?
Yeah.
So it's prioritizing the right things. Oh, I've used an escape rope that might come into play.
Exactly.
Turn 11.
No, right? You're right. You're so right, though. Yeah.
So a lot of people like to take the approach of draw pass. Yeah. Let's see what's happening with.
Let's see what's happening. Yeah.
What are you trying to do to me? How are you ruining my day?
Which I think is a fair assessment you play against control. One thing looking at Arne's deck, now one sort of way you can defend yourself against these control decks, for the most part, is being able to limit their hand size, right? You know, Trade wants to grow the hand, or Refinement, I should say. Gormandize wants to grow the hand. We saw in the NIC top 4, Azul was able to beat Sander just by mining every turn, saying, you are not going to get that V Union out, I'm going to keep mining you. But Arne doesn't play any hand disrupt outside of one copy of Roxanne, which you can only use when Sander's taken prize cards. So, could be an interesting wrinkle to watch out for here, is that Sander's just going to grow that hand. We see one copy of the Courier already coming down, letting you discard and draw 2.
Yeah, and as you said there, like Arne doesn't play any hand disruption apart from that Roxanne. I can't imagine it'll come into play anytime soon, unless Sander goes super aggressive with the Radiant Charizard. But I'm unsure if I can see that. And here we see the Peonia looking at the prizes.
See that Dream Ball.
See that Dream Ball.
That's going straight back. Maybe he has a Dream Ball in his hand. He's going to get 2 Dream Balls.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, imagine that on a multi-prize KO if you got 2 Dream Balls. All of it. That's incredible.
Well, that's the benefit of the Pioneer, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever you want in there.
There is 2 Dream Balls. He's got 2 in. He's putting 2 back.
So he's putting 2 back.
I tell you what now, people watching the chat, you will never, ever see any other time again double Dream Ball potential. I want to get some hype in the chat. If we get double Dream Ball on a 2-prize KO, I want the chat to go mad. You won't see that ever again. I promise you right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's a card that I didn't expect to be speaking about when coming onto the desk. But here we see Arnest on his turn prioritizing the Hisuian level.
What is he prioritized that's so important? A mana fee? Is that what is? I mean, I'm assuming Arn probably knows what's in the prize cards because I think you wouldn't prioritize the heavy ball if you didn't know what was in the prizes, right?
Maybe he's prioritizing taking this game a bit slowly. He maybe doesn't need to Colress as much as he would in any other matchup. So he's looking at his prize cards. Of course, what's interesting here is the Ordinary Rod. Now we know that Arne plays 2 Ordinary Rods, 1 Energy Recycler. Those are the only cards with the effect of shuffling cards back into his deck.
Yes.
That might come apparent in this matchup. We know Sander plays control, long games, resource management, ultimately so important in these matchups most of the time. So we'll see how he prioritizes this.
You're right, and I think you were spot on. Actually, you said you don't want to Colress that much because if you're Colressing, I said as he Colress, but you're doing the control player's job at that point because you're not even discarding cards with Colress. You're lost zone in. What that means is there's no way they're coming back. Yeah. So, like looking at the lost zone count now, that's 7 in the lost zone already. That's 7 cards. If Sander's win con is deck out, I'm not 100% sure at this point, but if it is. Arne's doing the job, 9 cards last time, I should say. That is doing Sander's job for him. But if I was Arne now, I would be confused. Are you trying to deck me out here, Sander? Why is there a Charizard knocking about then? What's going on?
It's a question that I'm sure he's asking himself. So he's attaching to the Radiant Gardevoir. He's probably looking to maybe get a knockout on that Radiant Charizard later down the line. But we see here Arne going for the Cramomatic attack with Spit Innocently. Now, this might be playing into Sander's hands. you just don't know. You don't know. We saw Sander quite nodded when he went up for the Cramomat. Like, yes, this is the way I want the matchup to go. And
you would like to think normally, if you're playing against control, being able to attack for no energy is great, right? But you're right. The Sander seems very confident. right now, and you have to imagine that Charizard is getting set up. Looks like, well, playing the Marnie.
Playing the Marnie.
Yeah, playing the Marnie. So, I mean, Arn's hand was massive as well at that
huge.
point. So, just saying, let's reset the hand and see what happens. But tell you what, I'm just so excited for the Dream Ball, guys. I want to get what can we get chat to put in the chat if there's a Dream Ball? Living on a dream, maybe. Live on a dream. That's it, chat. If we see Dream Ball, you better get Living on a Dream in the chat, because you might not see it. I promise you, this is outrageous to see a double Dream Ball.
Hashtag living on a dream ball.
Hashtag living on a dream ball. There it is.
I'm not here for no reason.
No, not just a pretty face, Ravi.
So you see here Sander using the refinement on the Courier, drawing 2 cards, and I'm looking at this list and I'm just thinking, what are you prioritizing to discard? What are you? We know that he plays 3 Fire Energy. There's 3 Ordinary Rod. Plays Magma Basin as well.
Yeah.
It's looking to maybe get the Fire Energy in the discard, Magma Basin onto that Charizard. And, we're looking at this Charizard here with 2 energy on it. We're looking
it's getting there.
It's getting there.
It's
a slow burner, no pun intended. But, he's maybe looking at utilizing that Charizard as early as possible.
Yeah, I think you're right. Magma Basin, trying to take some prize. And I tell you what, the Marnie is devastating, not only for Arn, right? It's really good for standard that it's limiting your opponent's hand size, but when you can just refinement afterwards, you're sort of reducing the downside for yourself, because you obviously make your hand lower, but if you can just trade, refine up.
It's no skin off Sander's back to just play a Marnie with 2 refinement on the bench. And I think what's important here against Lost Box is that you're making them use more resources, right?
Yeah.
You're making them use more scoop up nets. Like we saw here, he's used the scoop up net, he's used to put the switch card in the Lost Zone. Slowly but surely, that Lost Box is going to lose outs to certain plays from Standard's deck.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. But here's one thing we like to see against the controller is the Lost Mine. There is 10 in the Lost Zone, so we can see a KO on the Courier and on the Orangu. He might opt to leave the Orangu in the active, actually. That could be a big thorn for Sander right now. Let's see. I'd probably like to imagine surely the Courier goes, right?
Yeah,
I would imagine damage to go for both. I think you do.
Or maybe even the Manaphy. We know he's got so he's opted for the Manaphy. So he can take a knockout here on the Oranguru and the Charizard still, if he does play a Have Boss in hand. So we see here Sander drawing for turn. And this is the thing, like you said, it's great against control, placing damage counters. How does Sander approach this now?
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. You have to imagine that Espeon is here for this reason, but you have to take a prize card to even consider activating the Dream Ball. Not only do you have to take a prize, you don't have to take the Dream Ball, and you can't have Espeon in your hand if that happens as well, because Dream Ball has to be from deck. So there's a few hurdles here. We've been talking up Sander quite a lot, saying this deck, potentially could be really good, but there are still some hurdles. Let's get too ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah, of course.
But, so far, though, I want to see double Curly, I imagine.
Yeah. So we know Sander, if he does want to prioritize the Manaphy, we know he plays, like I said, those 3 Ordinary Rod, but 1 copy of Thornton as well.
Yeah, Thornton letting you get a basic Pokemon in play and swap it essentially with a basic Pokemon from your discard pile. Really interesting. Letting you normally reuse one of, e.g. Manaphy or anything like this. Letting you springboard into other stuff. Here we see double refinement here, so you can go trade, getting up to a +4 to the hand.
So many cards.
No, it honestly gets a little bit silly. That hand will grow so fast.
It stacks up, and Sander will be wanting a big hand, and he'll want all of his options in front of him. But like I said, interesting to see how he navigates against this Sableye. He's got that option of the Charizard. He can attach twice.
Do you see a Bird Keeper?
You see the Bird Keeper
into that. Draw 3.
Yeah, it's got the
here we go. Let's see that's
air balloon attached.
Scuba, do we see any energy or Magma Basin? I don't think that hand supports an attack at all.
No.
Oh, it's got the Espeon in hand as well. Yeah. So that Espeon needs to get out the hand if Sander wants to Dream Ball it back. I'm assuming that's the Dream Ball target right now. I could be wrong, but if it's in the hand, you can't Dream Ball for it.
No, he'll be trying to Pioneer that back for sure. We know that he's already used 1, so he's seen the bottom row. So it'll be the top row that goes next with the Pioneer. But what's interesting about Sander's list is looking at the Pioneer, you know its effect. So looking at the 3 prizes and switching them with whatever 3 decks in your hand. Of course, you have to take them first. But in any other deck like Mew, Lugia, Lost Zone, you don't have time to play supporters like that, right?
Yeah.
You don't have time. You have to go for the attacks. You have to go for the more aggressive plays. Now Sander just finds the time in these lists,
Yeah.
and not only just finds the time, but finds the time to play 3 Pioneer. Maybe, of course, not playing all of them. He's maximizing his outs to get one. He's prioritizing them, but and again, it goes towards the navigation of this game where he's letting Arne take as much prizes as he can. So he's got the time to play these. So super interesting deck. I'd love to know how he just comes up with this stuff.
Yeah, honestly, like I tell you, if you was in Sander's testing group, one of them there. I'm sure you've all been there. Twitch chat, you've got your TCG group chat, and you probably got that one person that's a little bit crazy, and they put crazy cards in the group chat. And everyone's like, oh no, that's rubbish. Don't worry about that. If you was in Sander's group chat though, you have to take everything seriously because Sander will take the most craziest of cards, or because no one's even looked at before. Regigigas V-Star, and just like, yeah, I'm gonna take it to a regional, sleeve it up, and I think his percentage of going to an event and making top 8 is insane.
Yeah.
He does it like event after event after event.
And we see the Magma Basin there.
The Magma Basin.
So he's going to be taking a knockout on this Sableye.
Could be living on a dream ball, folks. It could be happening.
Yeah, my hand's on the desk at the moment. I'm just preparing myself. So he knows where the G balls are, of course.
Yes,
we've been through this. He has P on of them. So he does have Gardevoir in there. I believe also another Ralts. So he can opt for them, and of course,
Dream Ball goes from deck.
Oh yes, of course. Sorry. So Dream Ball comes from deck. So if we could find a potential way to discard the Espeon VX. Oh no, just opting for the attack. So
here we go.
Taking the Dream Ball.
Living on a Dream Ball, baby. What are we getting? What are we getting?
Some laughs and smiles on the table there.
And there it is, the Espeon. I'm telling you now, you're not going to see that anywhere else. Like I said, there's 3 regionals going on this weekend. None of them playing Dream Ball. You're only getting that here in Bochum.
There's no more Sableye, and he's laughing, he's nodding his head, and he's like,
yeah.
Right, okay, so that's how we're going to play. Okay, fine, And this is where, the advantage is, like we said before, of not knowing what's coming from these decks,
Yeah.
It could mean that Arne just has nothing left, and, maybe not so much at the current point in time, but, what do you do now?
And that's the thing when you're playing against in a closed deck list event, and against kind of control where you can have these sort of one-card answers, I should say, just lock decks down. It's like, wait a minute, this deck is all about placing damage counters and all this jazz, and now I can't really do that. And it really puts a thorn in the side. Now Arne's having to start trying to think of plan B and plan C. And this way you might be thinking, oh, if I didn't discard this earlier, I might have had a little bit of way around.
And sorry, and this is where the game shifts momentum.
Yes,
right.
100%.
So we've been thinking, oh, maybe he wants to keep ahead of the resources in his deck. He wants to resource manage well. He wants to keep the ordinary rods. He wants to keep the energy recycler. But now he's got a Radiant Charizard in front of him attacking, and now he's got to deal with that as well. And maybe the game isn't so much on recovery cards. It's based on, oh, okay, you want to attack now? Okay, so we're playing this game.
It's almost like Sanders in the driving seat. He's dictating what gear we're in. Like, oh, we're attacking now, we're stalling now.
Yeah.
And he's really dictating how this game goes. And now I'm thinking, right, I actually can't just sit back and spit innocently because I've got this Charizard barreling down on me. I can't really use Lost Mine anymore because I've got there's that Espeon. And like I said, he's already lost zoned his Drapion, which should have been a great answer for this Espeon, but that's gone.
That's gone, yeah.
So
at least he'll know it for next game. True. But then again, it might play into the hands of Sander. Oh, you're going to touch the Drapion? Oh, okay, well, let's go around this route.
Yeah.
It's a super interesting way of playing the game, and you would imagine that Sander's probably thought about this deck a lot. He's put it, again, I'm going to say the same phrase, put his finger on the format, and gone, okay, do I have outs to this? Do I have outs to that? Yeah. Okay, cool, let's play it.
100%, and you can sort of see with his deck list here, you got the Dust Noir, I imagine that's for Lugia and Mew, you've got the Drapion for Mew, you've got the Espeon for Lost Box, you've got the Regigigas for, I don't know, to be honest with you, but that's going to be there for something.
I got to be honest, I wouldn't know how to commentate that when it comes out. Yeah. I don't quite know what it's going to be used for until I see it.
Yeah.
So we see taking non-knockout on the Charizard. with the chromatic.
So this will be an interesting turn now, because Sander isn't going to be able to get to Combustion Blast because there is no right hands, there is no twin energies, there is no anything like this. So what is the sort of the quote-unquote off turns for Sander look like? This might be able to give us a little bit more insight into how this deck functions, this Sanderbox. Big up the production team for Sanderbox there.
Yeah.
Love that.
So he has a lot of options in front of him. We know he's been building his hand over time. We know that he's used one Pioneer. He's also playing supporters like Flannery, Roxanne, Marnie, Boss. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does in these turns, in these in-between turns. Like you said, he can't be using Combustion Blast because he doesn't play Raihan. But, you know, that I'd imagine that's okay for Sander. So, you know, he's got a plan for these mid-game moments. You know, it'll be great to see how he navigates this now.
No, 100%. But it's worth actually knowing, SP on VMAX, the Pokemon has to have an energy attached to for that Solar Revelation. So, as it stands now, Lost Mine would be able to start dinking and danking the benched Pokemon, as it were, that haven't got energy on. Outside of that Curlier, actually.
Yeah, no, for sure. So the Curlier, opts for the Gardevoir there. Ooh. So the Gardevoir is actually pretty good for consistency. So I actually read the ability earlier before commentary start, and I thought, okay, so I've been missing out on this card all this time. And of course, with this Curlier with a refinement, this goes kind of hand in hand. So with the Shining Arcana, you'll be able to look at the 2 cards on the top of your deck and just put them into your hand. If they're not psychic energy, you do have the option to attach, but it's just it reads just draw 2 cards.
Yeah. It's any energy, right? Shining Arcana, it's not just psychic, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, any basic energy. Yeah, so that could be...
This could be utilized with the Charizard, so...
wow, look, here you see the prize manipulation with double Pierre, and you say, I know what the bottom 2 are. Let me take these top 3. I'm probably going to get that other Gardevoir out, so you can start doing 2 Shining Arcanas a turn.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that is an injury when it gets rolling, right?
Just when we thought he can be using Charizard, he may be able to poke it off. So you got the Magma Basin out, and of course playing those 3 copies of Ordinary Rods. There's another Dream Ball going into the into the prizes, and the benefit of Pioneer, of course, you know where they are.
Yeah.
You can just pick them up as you will, and there you go, 2 Shining Arcanas now for Gardevoir, and this is so big because Sander's not having to use refinement now, so he doesn't have to discard a card even. He's just drawing 2 raw cards off the top of the deck.
Yeah, just taking 2. That is outrageous. It's just an incredible card advantage, but I still like to wonder, what's Sander going to do? What's he going to end the turn with in the active? I mean, the Gardevoir can probably tank a hit, 140 HP for most stuff off Lost Box.
So we know now...
Oh, Gormandile, that makes sense.
So
actually, yeah.
Even some more cards. I'd imagine drawing 4 then. That he probably doesn't have an option to Gormandize. But important here, Lost Mine knocks nothing out here.
Yes. 100%.
Unless the Path comes into play, but Path isn't being played by Arna. So this the Lost Mine isn't knocking out anything here due to the Espeon, as we've spoken about earlier. Gardevoir's too big. Gormandize too big. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how Arna figures this out now.
And here we go over to Arna. Let's see what it does here. So, like I said, Lost Mine is turned off at this time. Well, it's not turned off. It can still hit the Espeon, it can still hit the Snorlax, and can still hit the bench Gardevoir. I know you can see a spit innocent, and I think this is what a lot of players would just do. So I'm not going to play anything else now.
No.
Let's just see what's happening.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier. Some people's game plan towards these kind of stally control is just, I'm just going to attack, pass, attack, not attack, pass. Sorry, draw, attack, draw, attack, draw, attack. But you know, we see here Sander taking advantage of the Snorlax's HP. He can just simply scoop up this up and just negate Arna's entire turn. And look, is that his hand here?
Yeah,
I think this is his hand. So, you know, drawing 8 cards last turn for free. In these past 2 turns for free. So you can imagine this hand is going to be pretty bulky, pretty thick.
Yeah, as it were, yeah. And I wonder... Jesus, I'm trying to work out. I mean, let's say Choice Belt goes back into the prizes.
Yeah, it's not needed.
So what we're seeing there is Choice Belt, Double Dream Ball again. It's just been able to have them at the bottom. So if Sander does want to get something out, he knows he can just Dream Ball it, and
for sure,
which is crazy to think about. And let's see, it's going to be a Gormandile. Is it going to be a Gormandile? It looks like
maybe just a pass.
Maybe he hasn't found a way to get the Charizard back. Does he even want to get Charizard back?
So I'm thinking a way around this here. We know that he plays 3 ordinary rods, so I would imagine it's maybe putting the Charizard down, drawing the rest of your deck with the Gardevoirs, using our ordinary rods to put exactly what is in the deck, so 2 fire and maybe the Radiant Charizard, and then just drawing off the Gardevoirs, and then using their Shining Arcana to just attach to the Charizard, right? Because you're guaranteed it.
Right, okay. Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Let's see if that's how it pans out. I mean, it makes a lot of sense as I'm sat here.
But it's seeing it in action. That's the next thing.
That's it, yeah, and it's seeing if Arn can predict and react, and he's debating. He's
debating the knockout.
Is knockout even what I want to do against Sander? We don't know. I don't blame you, Arn. It's a tough place to be sat across from Sander.
It's so tough because you don't know. You know, even just one card being played could just completely.
Yeah, no, it could
alter the game. And we see here debating the knockout, and
I think you have.
I
think I would. I think you have to. Right? You have to at least make Sander do things.
You know, you've gone into this game not knowing what he's playing. Right, so you know, just play to what your original game plan was. See what's going on in the deck, and maybe have a quick game too, knowing what's in the deck. So,
I mean, Arn is on 3 prizes, and there is a VMAX in play from Sander. So, I mean,
yeah, you
know, stranger things can happen. You might see like the Dragonite come down, hit it for like 250. Finish it off with something else. Like, it's still possible. Sander will need to attach an energy to that Espeon to get it out of range of Lost Mine or anything like this. So it's not, the door definitely hasn't closed for Arn by any means, but it's just trying to see, how does Sander close this game? I'm not 100% sure either.
Look at that hand.
Is that this Scarf Pile, folks? Nope, that's the hand.
So I'm thinking that the Regigigas may come down to try and utilize that Guardian.
Okay, to sort of get rid of the threat maybe, or a threat.
Unsure. Let's just see how he does this.
Looks like he's thinking. So I imagine whatever Sander's, game plan A is, it might not have at least panned out yet, because he's definitely debating on what to do.
So he's debating if he wants to use the Shining Arcana or not. Can't see how many cards he's got left in the deck. I imagine it's not many anymore.
Oh yeah, the discard pile was quite thick, as is the hand. So
we know that he only plays 1 copy of Palpad, 3 copies of Ordinary Rod. Those are only his kind of shuffle back in trainers, if you will, so recovery cards. So using 1 here. So
got Drapion and Charizard.
Yeah, it looks like. Oh, maybe the Gorman Dice Nordics.
Yeah, I don't realistically see what Drapion would do. I mean, I guess you can attack with it with Shining Arcana. It's definitely possible, right? But it doesn't really function, doesn't do much else.
Yeah.
So,
there's obviously this list is very well thought out. For me, what's surprising is no Silene. So Silene for me was just a cornerstone really of control decks previous to this. So Silene obviously flip 2 coins, get any card for each head back onto the top of your deck. I thought that this would have been, a popular choice for Sander, because of course with that Shining Arcana, it kind of, goes 1-1, but opting not to play it, and it may be because opting for the attacking option with as we see here with the Radiant Charizard.
So yeah, looks like we're going to see an attack. Will Sander opt to live on a Dream Ball again?
Yeah.
Was that a boss? Was that a boss being played there? I imagine it must have been.
It must have been a boss.
Wouldn't have been an escape rope, you'd like to hope.
No, taking out that threat of the Gardevoir as well. Wow. This is huge. The Greninja, yeah. This is huge.
So will we see Sander go for the Dream Ball? I'm not even sure what you'd even want to put in play. Maybe the Regigigas. It's an option.
Yeah, and at the moment, this is the...
Oh, he opted not to for the Dream Ball, so... Okay. Yeah, which makes sense. I don't really see what you'd want to spring into play right now. So Sander going down to 4 prize cards.
And interesting here, I don't know what Arn has left in his deck to be able to take a knockout on the Charizard.
He's looking at him chuckling to himself.
He's got the Zamazenta.
That would work. Yeah.
So that could work. So we see this now.
Yeah, Zamazenta definitely would work. We saw Pedro playing it. We could even see Dragonite V could come out as well. Yeah. There's nothing in Arn's deck to one-shot an Espeon though, outside of that Drapion, which unfortunately was lost zoned on turn 1, I believe. So we do see the Dragonite and the Mirage Gate, actually. Is that a boss as well?
Yes, it is.
It is. So we could see boss into Espeon and try and finish it off with a Sableye.
Yeah, could be.
Could be an option. Only problem with that is, though, all Sander would have to do to get around that is attach the energy to the Espeon and get it out of the active, and then it can't be hit by Lost Mine anymore. So
yeah, and we know that Arno, as you said there, Arno only plays the one boss, so he's going to have to use that sparingly and at the right time, as of course you probably would against Control. Interesting, you talk about the Dragonite V. Now, Sander, we know, has the ability to just get back a Charizard and just take the knockout.
Oh, but good point, actually. So, that's a great point, actually. Yeah. Forget how hard that Charizard hits, right? Like,
it's such an interesting matchup. It's so interesting. It's even coming down to how do I use Mirage Gate?
It is.
Do I attach return? Is he going to boss the Oranguru and try and stall me out here? You know, it's all these different factors that come into play when you play against Control that make a game really interesting.
No, 100%. Like every move now is going to be so meticulous and going to read the Espeon.
Just double checking.
Thinking he dreamballed it out, so it must be important, right? Like he went to a lot of effort to grab that.
He's just double checking. So he knows.
Oh, so he can't even. So he can't Sableye the. He can't Sableye the Charizard then, actually, because it's got energy on.
Yeah. So the only thing he can Sableye against is the Espeon itself or that Gardevoir.
The Gardevoir,
with the air balloon. So, and again, we're talking about the boss play. He's opting for the Gardevoir.
6 on each. 6 on each. Yeah.
That's fine. So interesting talking about the boss play. So boss.
Yeah. Now he's trying to line up the boss into the Espeon with Dragonite. So I think that's what Arn's trying to line up here. Sander does play some hand swap, does play Marnie, could play Roxanne as well. I wonder if Sander thinks, right, hold on, this is a very specific amount of damage you've done here. You know, Azul did just win with Dragonite. We've seen Escape Rope. Interesting. You're holding all the information. Don't mind it at all.
And I'd imagine with the board state that's happening here, this is where Sander says, right, okay, this is where my development to the end game starts, right?
Yeah.
His lock might start with that Roxanne, and start punishing Arno and the inability to come back from this game. So I would imagine the Roxanne's going to come out here.
I think so. I mean, the hand is massive. He must have a way to hand disrupt at this point. Seeing the 60-60 spread like that, you have to imagine that Arn has some way of dealing with this Espeon. He's only on 3 prizes, so like I said, a boss KO would wrap it all up. And the thing is, with these control decks, you're not really going to have time to try and win a fast game too, for the most part.
No, of course.
I mean, this one does play Charizard and Energy, so maybe if all the controllers might be one of the fastest ones, but even then it's really unlikely. Choice Belt attach, interesting. Probably not going to be too relevant outside if the Charizard does come down, Dragonite I should say. And there is the Roxanne.
There's the Roxanne. I'd imagine the Choice Belt is going back to thinning is winning. Attaching that Choice Belt, just getting it out of the way, making sure that he doesn't draw back into it. Really smart choice there by Sander. So we see here the shuffle in, draw 2 from Arna now off the Roxanne. So maybe this is where Sander starts saying, right, it's game time.
I think so, yeah. You're going to have to start accelerating your win condition now because, you know, the foot's been let off the gas a little bit. You know, you have only taken 2 prize cards, and granted, you've got an Espeon out and a Charizard, but you have only taken 2 prize cards. Arn's taken 3, and you have got a 3 prize that's damaged now. So the window is starting to open there for Arn, giving all credit to him. So you're going to have to, you know, put some pressure on, limit the hand, try and take a KO, do all this, that, and the other. Yeah,
I'd imagine so. So we see both players drawing off the Roxanne, and he has a confirm board. Now, that is with the air balloon, which is going to be so important here because it'll give Arna the ability to retreat and attack with anything he can find, if he could. We see the hand here from Sander. It does have the Regigigas V, so he can start setting that up if it becomes relevant. But we know that Sander's probably going to be putting some real pressure on with this Charizard this turn as well.
Yeah, but he's going to take a big KO here for sure. Give on and I've got a Colress.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's a pretty good Roxanne. If you're a Lost Wax player, you'll take that, right?
Yeah, it has the ability with the capture energy there as well to get
an attack off choice.
Is either Raikou or Dragonite V, but of course it's Mirage Gate and it's resource management time. It's it's finding those pieces at the right time. Playing Colress means you can't boss, etc., etc. And of course, Sander does play Palpad as well, so he will be able to Roxanne again next turn, possibly. So I mean, just talking about those Gardevoirs, the Shining Arcana is so strong.
Yeah, just +2. It's just literally a +2 for hand. It's
Yeah.
almost like if Brave Blade didn't end your turn. Like but it's
Plus
only
one.
for 2.
Plus
Yeah,
one as
+1. Yeah, exactly. So here we go over to Arn. What can Arn cook up here? Has got a flower selecting available, has got chorus, and let's see, wonder what our top was. Was it a scoop up net off the top? What is this card here? Go on. Go on, show us what it is. He's debating. Oh, it's a chorus. Okay. Maybe trying to debate if I can flower selecting into my boss's orders. Might still have win on here. Let's see what this chorus is then. So I see an escape rope. I see a Roxanne. Looks like he's getting rid of escape rope and didn't quite catch that, unfortunately. But escape rope and something's gone. We did definitely see a Roxanne coming out. I definitely saw Arn keeping that. No, I'd just love to see if we get a look at Arn's hand here, see what he's debating, if possible.
So Arna does have 2 more. So the boss is in hand. So he does have 2.
Boss is in hand. He rocks on the back.
He does have 2 more turns.
Yes.
To be able to take the knockout on the Espeon VMAX. Now he can start building his hand, as most Lost Box players will, towards that. Now, if Sander is able to disrupt again with a Roxanne, this will only be beneficial to him. But of course, Arna does have 1 more turn to maybe Roxanne and disrupt Sander. But like I said, this is where the game's won.
Yeah, these sort of crucial turns now, where like any mistake or any potential misplay or not optimal play in every sense of the word can really come back to bite here. And his Arn can even start piling damage on the Espeon. I mean, I don't mind it, right? Like,
oh no, I don't mind it.
And I think that's
he's debating here.
Yeah, so because the Espeon hasn't got energy on, so the Solar Revelation ability, which prevents all effects of attacks, is great. Would stop this normally, but doesn't stop it on a Pokemon that doesn't have energy on. So here we see the 120. So that Espeon going up to what, 180 damage in total. It's getting there.
Yeah. So we do know that Espeon has, of course, 310 HP. So it is going to be 1 off a knockout. If he does decide to Lost Mine again. So it's putting it out just out of contention, I would say.
So how much HP has it got left now, sorry?
So it's on 180 damage, so it'll be on 130.
130, whoa, that's getting there now, isn't it?
It's getting there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we know that Arna doesn't play Zigzagoon, Galarian Zigzagoon, so he can't just put 1 ping back onto that Espeon for the knockout for next turn if he can recover the Sableye. He doesn't play Clara, only the ordinary rod, so that may be difficult, or maybe a difficult route to play. And of course, like we said, they both have kind of... it's more on Arna's side in terms of prize mapping, because of course the Espeon VMAX is down, but Sander's got 3 more turns of taking prizes yet.
He still has to actually try and maneuver around here at this point to take a prize this turn. You'd love to see this Sableye hit the discard pile. As it stands now, not 100% sure if Sander hasn't got a available energy to him, but because you'd see it get slammed down to that Espeon.
Yeah.
But yeah, really interesting scenario. Like, Sander's definitely what we got here. Scoop up net, Regigigas, Basins, and some Ball Search. And a Thornton. Does Thornton get anything? Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
No. So no energy is the... I imagine Sander's deck must be quite small, because if you need energy, you just start Shining Arcana to try and find one.
Yeah, for sure.
So I imagine the deck must be quite small at this point. I mean, we did see his discard pile a few turns ago, and that was massive. So
it's another game of seeing how can you get Radiant Charizard out of the active and bring it back. Now we know Sander plays the 1 escape rope. He's already played it this game, so he does have that Bird Keeper, but again, played it. So he's going to be having to utilize the Pal Pad to get that back. Opting to maybe use the Scoop Up Net.
I was going to say, do you Scoop Up Net active, and then you can retreat Basin?
Yeah, for sure.
But the energy, that would still require 1 energy coming in from hand, though, because Combustion Blast would need 2 energy to attack this turn. So maybe see a quick ball away there. I mean,
quick balling the Charizard.
Going to Thornton it? I mean, Thornton's just a basic, right? I mean, Thornton Manaphy? Is Thornton just a basic? No, I'm trying to think in my head. Is Thornton just... we do see the Thornton. Yeah, Thornton the Manaphy. Yeah, I guess, in fairness, if the Greninja's gone, you can... Wow, so Thornton Manaphy into Charizard. So there we go.
It's played... it's such a strong play, I guess, with the Magma Basin as well, and being that the Manaphy's already on the bench. can utilise that, of course.
But the thing is, because you're having to attack now with the Charizard, having to manually attach, that means that is still one more turn of the Espeon not having an energy on.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but it looks like Sander has done the Charizard dance, as it were, and it's going to come back Combustion Blast, taking a prize card and evening it up at 2, well, going ahead actually on prizes, sorry, 2-3.
Yeah, Arn's probably thinking, no, not again. Not again. The Charizard again?
Arn's thinking, I'm playing against Sander and he's got the prize lead on me. How's that happen? How's that happen? I suppose I've got the short straw here. Normally he's messing about trying to get Mewtwo in the discard pile. And now I'm getting barreled down by a Charizard.
Taking prizes? You're kidding me?
Yeah. The one time Sander's taking prizes and it's against me. Great.
So we see here just the beginning of Arn's turn. Just a little bit of discussion on the table.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of discussion of some sorts.
Promotes that Comfey with the air balloon. That air balloon's so important to his board state right now with that free retreat, and of course being able to use the flower selecting for some of that flower power.
That flower power and dream balls, baby. This is, you know what I mean? It's all kicking off here. So we do see the boss still. Remember, if Arn can just find an attack, where's a Mirage Gate? Ooh, wait a minute. Has he got a way to get the Charizard? Has he got? I mean, Charizard Dragonite. Has he got a way to get it? Is a capture energy?
A capture.
Does that work? Capture energy. Zamazenta works. Zamazenta works. He does 220, right? Does he have any metal energy left? He needs one more.
He needs one more, maybe the...
Training court. Training court gets you there.
Training court's come down.
Training court gets the metal. Boss's
metal,
orders. And there it is on the Espeon.
Huge.
Wow.
Huge. And funnily enough, it's punished Sander for taking prizes.
Yeah.
Huge. No, fair play there. You know, go into your outs, using what resources you can. Really well played there.
Yeah, not panicking, not like getting ahead of himself, not, playing cards he really doesn't need to. Just saying, right, let me just take this a little bit slowly. And sort of wait and buy my time and noticing that, wait a minute, that Espeon hasn't got energy yet, so Solar Revelation doesn't work. Let me play some damage counters and see if I can pick them up later. That's exactly what happened. Yeah,
I mean, it was punishing for Sander, not being able to get that energy attached to the Espeon. We knew maybe he thought he was safe with the 130 HP left on it before he could do anything to deal with it. But yeah, what a game! It was so well navigated, and we see these Lost Box players. They play almost like a storyline. So they have their choruses, they're lost zoning the correct stuff, they're using their comphase in the right ways, and holding. And that was a game also not just on lost zoning the right stuff, but resource managing as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, easily Arn could have started panicking and, playing all these chorus and getting rid of all the metal energies. And then at the end, it would have been like, oh, I've got win here, but I haven't got the necessary energy. Yeah. But, he did those off turns where you just do a little Cramorant and just apply a little bit of pressure and see what happens, And it worked out perfectly as he took a win against Sander with a deck. Like, I don't think any of us know how it works.
No, for sure. And it's using the cards at the right times. So, we saw there with the training court. It could have been just an easy, I'm just going to pop down training court, but he didn't. He held on to it, and that's what good players do against control. They hold on to what they need for those explosive turns to say, I've got game here. Yeah,
it would have been so easy for Arn just to be like, right, let me get rid of that Magma Base, and you're not doing this Charizard business anymore. But if he did, that could have been replaced, and then that win con, at least on that turn, would have been closed, and it would have been just more hurdles for Arn to try and jump over, as Sander is still doing the Charizard dance and applying enough pressure. And, well, to be honest, who knows what Sander would have done later on. But, all credit to Arn there, getting a good game one. And you have to imagine, I mean, they might be playing a game two, but chances are that's probably not going to finish.
I mean, they could, but if both players get set up, it turns into, just almost time calls. It's a bit awkward with so many Pokemon on board
as well.
One prizes doesn't make it easier either. But Arn's going into this tournament now 4-0. He's going to go into round 5 now with just an X and O record, super confident, and with a great deck as well, like Lost Box. And of course, Sander 3-1, but his day is by no means over.
No, definitely not. I think it's safe to say Arn piloted that very well. And to be honest, there were a few turns there where I think Sander maybe didn't have the options available that he wanted. So, when you play a control deck like this, chances are 1 or 2 rounds you might not go your way. But if the other 7 do, 6 or 7, then
Yeah.
you're on for a good one. But I think we're going to kick it to a quick break now, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back real soon.
Good afternoon, Pokemon fans and Pokemon trainers. We're back here at the Bochum Regional Championships. I've got another treat for you, another winner's interview with my good friend Arne here. So tell us how you feel after that amazing game.
It's still not really all clear in my head. I was figuring out the entire game what Sander exactly was playing.
Yeah.
So still shaking a bit, yeah.
Oh, of course. I think one thing for us was that you were almost trying to guess what you were playing as you were playing. How did you approach that first of all?
Yeah, I changed my game plan quite a few times in the matchup. At first I was just like, I'm gonna do lost box stuff, right?
Sure.
Just lost zone some stuff, try to Cramorant and see where this is going. The moment the Dream Ball hit, I knew, oh, okay, it's this kind of deck.
Yeah.
So at that point, like, everything could happen, right? Like, I was expecting a second Dream Ball at any moment for another Pokemon.
Yeah.
But my gameplay, at one point in the game, I was like, oh, I'm going to Dragonite V with Sky Seal Stone on the SPN VMAX for 4 prizes.
That's
that he doesn't see it coming, because I thought he played Roxanne, because his deck went very fast, right? So I was expecting Roxanne. That was why I was hesitating at one point to take the KO with Cramorant, because I knew, oh, if I go down to 3 prizes, I will be Roxanne, right?
Yeah.
But I guess, like, well, I'm gonna do it. It's 1 card less I need, the Sky Seal Stone.
And I guess you have to do it, right?
Yeah. At one point, you have to do something.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that was surprising for us was that you played it extremely well for resource management, right?
Yeah.
You play against these control decks. Some people have their own ways of approaching it, but you played it extremely well. And you hit and you popped off just at the right time with the Zamazenta. I think my question was, as well as that, was so how did you navigate your hand to where you could start? Where was your mind at
I knew
that
what
point?
the important cards were, right? So I knew Mirage Gate I needed, right? The boss I needed at one point. So those were the cards I was like constantly putting on top because I needed those. And I didn't use any Mirage Gate except one time, I think, for Sableye because I needed the 60 damage. The moment Espion hit, I thought like, oh, if he put an energy on it, Sableye is off the table, right?
Yeah.
So I need as fast as possible. So I use one Mirage Gate on the Sableye to put 60 damage on the Espion because then it was in Dragonite range.
Yeah.
And I knew, all right, now I can KO it with the other 3 Mirage Gates. And I just wait till the moment is there. So
No, so well explained. And I think before we go into how your day is going and who you are as a person, I think my question is, Lost Box, of course, won OCIC, massive target on its back.
yeah.
You know, you're obviously well tested, but how did you come to the choice of bringing Lost Box today?
It's we were testing with our group a couple of decks. We went at one point all Vikavolt. We all went Vikavolt as a deck.
Sure.
But I at one point noticed like, oh wait, Vikavolt doesn't really win against Lost Box because Lost Box can play around it,
yeah.
right? So then I was like, okay, I guess I'll play Lost Box then, right? And I then took Azul his list and Pedro his list and kind of merged them together with what I liked.
Yeah.
And played that way, and it worked so far 4-0. So
no, we've spoke about diversification with decks. You know, people have their own preferences. We've seen it all day today.
Yeah.
You know, Lugias coming up against each other. It's not the same 60 against the same 60.
No.
It's certainly not the case with Lost Box.
No,
the Mirage Gate build.
Lots of variants.
Lots of variants. So let's talk about your testing group. You know, you're a part of the Zapdos TCG group, as you can tell. So, you know, do you guys test together? How do you approach a regional like this with such pressure on?
Yeah, we look at the top 3-4 decks, something like that, and then we come 1-2 times a week together to just try and beat those decks, right?
Yeah.
Try if we can find something new, or if we can adjust our decks to win against those decks, and then we go with it. But all the time we just like at the end splits, and then so a lot of us are playing something different now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us think like, oh no, my deck wins against my as well, right?
Little rivalries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has to happen, right?
Well, you're going into this tournament now 4-0.
Yeah.
Super confident, I imagine, against the win, which is probably going to be one of the harder matchups of the day. I would imagine.
This is a lot,
at least for your sake, it's one of the hardest ones. Hardest for your decks so far.
Yeah.
But you know, going into the rest of the day, what are you hoping to come up against? What have you faced? Let's start with what's faced.
I faced first round Lugia. Was expected. Second round I went really lucky because I got QRM VMAX. So Zamazenta just hits it on the weakness, 3 prizes, very easy. Third round it was a mirror match, but I play one Roxanne, so in the mirror Roxanne is just busted, right?
So good, yeah.
You wait until they get a 3 and then Roxanne, and you hope they don't have anything, and most of the time it works.
Yeah.
And now it's under whatever the deck was.
So what are you hoping to come up against?
Some more Lugias would be nice, yeah. Without Dunsparce. Then my Raikou can just take a lot of prizes.
We saw you play the Raikou, of course, different to the Azul list with just the Dragonites, you know. You're navigating in a way to take 3 prizes against Lugia VMAX. So Lugia V-Star, sorry. So you know, super good. So we'll be right back with our round 5. So please stick around for some more great action.